Turning, looking, see
All right, it's game 3 of a 3-game set between the Yankees and the Rangers. A Monday matinee, and the Yankees look to nasty Nestor Cortes to get them back on the winning track and avoid a series defeat. My recap and your reactions coming up next. This is Yankees Game Night. Hello! Afternoon edition of Yankees Game Night. I know a lot of people couldn't watch this game because they're at the office or whatnot. If you were lucky, you got to catch it on radio. I gotta say, if you missed this one, you missed a hell of a pitching performance. One of the best pitching performances we've had all season long. Nestor Cortes on the mound today. After a tough outing against the Blue Jays last week, the Yankees chose to avoid having him pitch against the Blue Jays twice in a row. So Luis Severino starts against the Jays, and Cortes moves up to face the Texas Rangers. He was sharp from the get-go, came out guns a-blazing. 1, 2, 3, first inning, 9 pitches. So right away it seemed like he had solved whatever the problem was in Toronto with the release point. Cutter was phenomenal. Yankees, meanwhile, still in a bit of a funk in the first. They put the first 2 men on via walk, but failed to score. Did not take advantage of the, lack of control from John Gray. Nestor was really dealing in the third. He struck out the side. The cutter, again, working really well to righties. I think they were 0 for 15 or 0 for 16 against the cutter today. I know they said 0 for 14 after 7 innings, but I'm not sure, how many he threw in the 8th inning. So both teams were actually hitless until Josh Donaldson picked up a single in the bottom of the 4th. Nestor had another easy 5th inning no-hitter intact. John Gray, no such luck, left the game with an injury in the bottom of the 5th. Big spot in the game. Yankees load the bases for Aaron Judge with 1 out in the bottom of the 5th. Umpire made a bad call, another bad call below the zone. He had a few of those today. There were a few off the plate that got called strikes, a few below the zone that got called strikes. Just a bad day for the umpire. And Aaron Judge let him hear it. And you never see Aaron Judge argue. But he was absolutely furious with the call behind the plate. It was just terrible today. When are umpires going to learn to adjust the strike zone for Aaron Judge? Anyway, Judge strikes out. Rizzo also struck out. Yankees leave the bases loaded. But both of those guys would come up huge later in the game. Nestor kept doing his thing. A walk in the 6th, but no hits once again. Top 7, Nestor seemed to hit the wall a little bit. 2 walks, but again, no hits. 3rd straight game in which a Yankees pitcher has reached the 7th inning. Top 8. The magic show finally comes to an end after 7 1/3 innings. A bloop single to center field, but Nestor Cortes pitching like an ace. Round of applause for Nestor Cortes. Final line, 7 1/3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 4 walks, 11 strikeouts. Second time this season he's struck out more than 10 in a game. Bottom 8, Aaron Judge picks up the first hit, his first hit of the game, and then Rizzo doubles to the left field gap. Judge motors around to beat the throw and give the Yankees their first run of the game. Ninth inning, Aroldis Chapman comes in. He finishes it off for the save. Ball game over. Yankees win.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
More of that, please.
Shoot the rock, saying Nestor the GOAT. Fantastic. Sean Browning brings up a great point. Not just Judge, but DJ, who doesn't complain much. I think we got to give out the belt. What do you say, Nestor Cortes Jr.?
Belt winner.
honestly one of the best performances from a Yankees pitcher in recent memory. I mean, there was the no-hitter last year from Corey Kluber. We've seen Garrett Cole have a couple of high strikeout games, but I really love an efficient game where, the pitcher just goes deep into the game and baffles the opposing hitters, which is what happened today. He was in full funky mode, man. That cutter was untouchable. He was throwing it in and underneath the hands of the righties. And then he would, when he got them looking for that, he would sneak a fastball over the outside corner. Fantastic. Ariel Lavi says, where is our offense? Michael K said it. 5 runs in 3 games and a series win shows what our pitching is doing. So first of all, yes, fantastic job by the pitching in this series. But the offense has been, I guess the bats got left in customs coming back from Toronto, and Toronto's coming back in. So the Yankees need to get it together in a hurry. This was their 3rd game in less than 24 hours, which, I don't want to make any excuses for these guys. But, after having 3 days off and then you kind of overdo it, maybe, I don't know, they're just having trouble getting back into a rhythm, getting back into their routine. Maybe tomorrow will be better. One thing I did want to bring up, there was some issues with hustle in this game. And, we saw Josh Donaldson kind of dogging it. We saw, who else was it that was kind of dogging it? LeMahieu dogging it. And again, I think that could be a product of the 3 games in 2 days because these guys are finely tuned athletes. But 3 games in 2 days is a little, or, in 24 hours is a little much. And unfortunately, it's just really starting to show that they're looking a little bit, I don't know, worn down. You don't want to say that these guys are apathetic. I mean, they're obviously trying to win the game. They're frustrated. And DJ's a guy who always hustles, and Donaldson too. So that makes me think it's more fatigue. It's more rhythm than anything. So that's just my hypothesis, I suppose. Juan Santiago with the Super Donuts is always looking forward to the show. Couldn't watch the game, but it feels great to win. Appreciate that. Thank you for the very nice dono. Finn Lodge says anemic, talking about the offense. Sean Browning says doubleheader hangover. And yeah, I mean, I just agree. Totally.
Absolutely. Hey.
It's, if you've ever played a doubleheader, especially in your 30s, which I have, and not even at the professional level, your body just doesn't recover that much the next day. You're used to playing 9 innings. If you have to play 18, it makes you sore. It makes you fatigued. You just don't feel right. And then you don't get to do all your prep before the next game because you're not feeling as sharp. It's just something different about it when your body's kind of worn out. But now you have longer than usual before your next game because usually you'll play on a Monday night and then a Tuesday night, or you'll have Monday off. But now you have at least more than 24 hours before your next game, right? They don't play for another 27 hours. So hopefully they can all get home and get a rest with a series victory and then prepare for Luis Severino tomorrow. Let's see here. Frankie says, I'm 23 and my body couldn't handle 1 game, let alone 2. Frankie, I had no idea you were 23. I thought you were a little bit younger than that. I was thinking 21 at best. Tyler Donroan says, even Roberts tweeted out that the Yankees were dogging and not getting to the base. And again, I just don't think that they were intentionally dogging it. I think that they were worn out. 3 games in 24 hours. And I know that these guys, they don't look like it's that difficult. But all the prep, all the batting practice, stretching, all the stuff you have to do, and then you play a game, and then your body cools down for a minute, and then you got another game. You're at the ballpark all day. Look, I'm grasping at straws because I don't want to believe that these guys are not hustling. That's just how it goes. Let's see here. Joseph Dream says Severino start tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do against the Blue Jays. He's been phenomenal this year. I mean, he's had a couple of tough box scores, but I think he's pitched better than his numbers indicate. Not so family fun vision says Nestor sucks. Couldn't even throw a no-hitter. Let's see. Frankie's talking about 1998. That was a good year for the Yankees. I guess that's when you were born. That was my favorite summer. I got into it with Brian Hoke a little bit on Twitter. This one, I got into it. That's the wrong word. But Hoke was talking about how the Yankees came into this game with a 704 winning percentage, and that's the same winning percentage that the Yankees had in 1998 when they won 114 games, 114 and 48. And my retort was that, that team in 98 really could have won 123 or 124 games. They were unbelievable. But then in September, I think they had a losing record after about 19 games in September. They were 8-11, I believe, to begin September. They were sleepwalking. But Shane Spencer came out of nowhere and carried them. You were worried about them backing into the playoffs, but 1998, ultimately, a great year for the Yankees. Big Boy says, I hate the Blue Jays.
Absolutely, hey.
Let's see. Paul Nelson says, doubleheaders, no excuse. 90% of baseball is standing around. I'm going to go ahead and disagree.
Just a bit outside.
There's a lot more to baseball than standing around. At the Athletic, these guys are constantly shifting. I mean, there's just the stress on your body of being in a professional baseball game. Look, it's a lot more than standing around, especially at the major league level. Mark Stenrud says, bad umpires are encouraging their own obsolescence. Dang, that's a good word. Bring on the AI umpires. I want a round of applause for obsolescence. I'm going to have to Google obsolescence after the podcast. Anthony Shigara says 98 was the shiz.
More of that, please.
Let's see here. Ariel Levy says Shane Spencer threw the Jeter flip to the plate against the A's. Excellent point. Back in 2001, I believe. No, was it 2002? 2001, 2002. I think it was 2001. There was a ball hit into the corner, and Mike Messina was pitching that game, by the way. He pitched a great game. And Shane Spencer actually overthrew both cutoff men, so it was not a great throw. And Jeter came from out of nowhere. He said that they practiced that in spring training. And the next year, so it must have been 2002, when Jason Giambi, who is the brother of Jeremy Giambi, who was tagged out on that play, got to spring training, he said to Jeter, all right, I want to see how you guys practice this play. But I don't know. I think the story that I've heard always ends there. I don't know if he ever got to take part in that. Let's see. Gerardo Martinez says, Red Sox are 10.5 back of the Yankees. It's what you want. It's what you want. And CS says, hey, another series win. I'll take it every day of the week, baby. Well, you can't get a series win every day of the week, but I'll take it every time. 2 out of 3. You just keep winning series, even when your offense is playing poorly. It's big. You've got to turn on the offense for the Blue Jays, though, because, one, they pitch the Yankees very well. And I'm not sure who's pitching in that series for the Blue Jays. So if somebody wants to head on over to the Goog and or to MLB.com and just let me know in the chat, that would be a good thing to mention. The Blue Jays always play the Yankees tough, and they're going to need to show up with the offense this week. I think that once they get into a better rhythm, things will improve. You're coming off the 11-game win streak. You have a tough final game in Toronto, and then you have a few days off. And it's almost like having an all-star break. It kind of resets everything. You get out of that rhythm that you had built over those couple of weeks of winning. Marcus Killigrew says, R.I.P. to Jeremy Giambi. I forgot that he had passed away. So young. Richard says, is Rortvedt going to replace Higgy when he's back? Trevino should be the starter. I think it's worth noting that Trevino has started, I think, 9 out of the last 16 games was what Meredith said. And look, I'm a fan just like you guys. I don't have any inside information. I know they like Higgy, but I think it's worth noting that Cole has been throwing to Higgy more. Cole has been throwing to Trevino more. So I don't think it's a given that Higashioka is going to remain with the team. But I will say this. Rortvedt has an option, and he can be sent to the minor leagues. So if the Yankees want to hang on to Higgy And they're not going to get rid of Trevino. He's doing such a nice job. If the Yankees want to get rid of Higgy, they can, but they can't send him down, I don't think. Puerto Rican veteran says, I'm showing up the Yanks like savages in the box this season.
More of that, please.
Appreciate it. Maddie T says, it's Kikuchi and Barrios. So Kikuchi shut down the Yankees the last game in Toronto. And Barrios, I think the Yankees beat him, but he's still got filthy stuff. I mean, he's got the nastiest slider, or one of the nastiest sliders in the game today. So thank you to Maddie T for looking that up real quick. Appreciate that. Anthony Cigar says Red Sox are tanking. I don't think they're tanking. I think they were trying to.
It doesn't work that way.
I think they were trying to win, but they just didn't get it done. Let's see. We'll take a few more. I know it's the middle of the day, so let's see. Douglas Rouse says, no such thing as too much depth at a position as tough as catcher. 100% agree on that. I just don't think that they would release Higashioka. I don't think he has a ton of trade value because he doesn't hit. They like his framing. It's going to be a tricky situation when Rortvedt comes back. I think Rortvedt's going to end up in AAA. I think what's going to happen, he's still 24 years old. It's not uncommon for catchers to remain in the minor leagues a little bit longer than other players because you've got to really get good at that, catching side of the game. I think it's probably going to end up him being back at AAA to figure out how to become a better hitter. He's never been much of a hitter, but I think as soon as he turns it on offensively, you might see him come up. And I agree with Rao that, it's one of those positions where you just don't have a lot of depth throughout the major leagues, right? I mean, we saw how hard it was for the Yankees to get catching this winter. They had to make some tricky trades. Tucker Barnhart went off the market almost immediately when the offseason began. It's just going to be tricky, but good sign, encouraging sign that Rortvedt hit a home run in his first game in single A. Riley E says, we need more hustle on the first baseline. Hate seeing the jogging. First of all, 100% agree.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And in case you're just joining, we mentioned this earlier. This is their third game in 24 hours, and I spent the first 10 minutes of this program wiggling through excuses that, maybe they're tired, maybe they're sore, maybe they're a little bit worn out, and maybe that's not, they could be under directions from the training staff. Hey, look, this is your third game in 24 hours. If it's not a close play, don't bust it. Sometimes you do have to manage it that way. It doesn't look good on TV, though. Let's see. We got a super dono from Dr. Randy Cokewave says, I don't know why the Yankees don't want to help Cortez. Well, I'm sure they do.
Excellent.
Thank you for the dono. I'm sure they do want to help him. They just have not been able to get it done offensively recently. Brother Bulldover says the Angels could win their division. That would be interesting to see Ohtani in the playoffs. And also, they've got Tyler Wade. They've got Andrew Velasquez on that team, couple of former Yankees. So that'll be interesting. Peter Rosso says, trade Donaldson. Interesting. He picked up a base hit, as Michael K said, and as I said in the broadcast a couple days ago. I probably got it from him originally. He's like a vitamin. One a day in terms of hits recently. Tyler Donrow says, do you see a bullpen game coming up for the Yankees? I think it's more likely, as someone mentioned yesterday, that you're going to see something like Clark Schmidt come up and pitch a game, and just to give these guys a rest, because you got a long stretch of games, basically 3 weeks without an off day, following the doubleheader. So I think they're going to be praying for another rain out, possibly, even though that'll create more trouble in terms of scheduling. But I think it's likely that they'll insert a sixth starter at some point. You don't want to wear through the bullpen during a stretch like this. Derek Musciano says, Nestor and Monty set up our pen for this tough stretch. If they went 5 each, we'd be in a tough spot. And that's an excellent point. Great name, by the way. This is the third straight outing in which a Yankees starting pitcher has gone at least 7 innings. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Anthony says, giving Donaldson a chance for now. Let's see here. Fritz Walter says, I think there are other positions first to improve offensively other than catching.
Absolutely. Hey.
I think left field, we mentioned Benintendi is an option. Hicks has done an okay job in center field, and I think the Yankees like the option of putting Judge out there in center field if they need to. if they want to free up that DH spot, put Giancarlo in right field, put Judge in center. But I think, there is a non-zero chance that they could try and upgrade center field. I think it's more likely they'll try and upgrade left field. But other than that, I think this team is pretty solid right now. Let's see here. SD36 says 10 runs total in this series. Lots of players are scuffling at the plate this year. A lot of strikeouts. Jose says Nestor is the best Yankees lefty since Andy Pettitte. 100% agree.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And I think that Sabathia guy was pretty good too. He helped us win a World Series. Although, Pettitte was with the Yankees at the same time as Sabathia, so I think Sabathia pitched a little bit longer than Pettitte. Jordan Montgomery also having a great year. I think his ERA is 2.90. So, hey, great start for Nestor Cortez today. One more time, Mr. John Sterling.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
More of that, please.
All right, let's go to the box score real quick, and then we'll get out of here. As you can see, not a lot going on. 5 hits for the Yankees in the game. A lot of ones. And then you got just a great pitching performance. Cortez obviously leading the pack. Clay Holmes gets the win. He's 4-0, 0.61 ERA. Cortez with a 1.41 ERA so far this season. When you put that in context, that's basically what Mike King has, I think, 1.4 something. So Cortez has essentially been the rotation version of Mike King, and we know how great Mike King has been. All right, we're bringing back the pregame tomorrow because it's a night game, so get your voicemails in, and I will have them as part of the show. Yankees win this one. I'll see you next time.